First, apologies that it's again this intro. I was not in the mood to film myself. Second, I can't remember the last time I had to do 7 voiceovers to get to one that I could live with. And I already don't know if this one will be it. So, let's find out. When I was with my mom, I stitched together a dress that I completely loved. I used a hoop skirt that I made ages ago, and yeah, I was quite in love with it. And because there was a purple and gold and blue in it, because of the gold, I thought I want to use a doll with a darker skin complexion. Here comes in the problem and the reason why this is voiceover number 7. So far, I didn't do that many dark-skinned dolls, and there is a reason for it. And no, it's not the reason that I have a problem with someone who has a darker skin complexion. Couldn't be further from the truth. To be exact, for me it doesn't matter what skin color you have, what culture you have, what religion you have, what... doesn't matter. Either I like you or not. And that has something to do with you as a human being. And not with any of your surroundings. If you are an idiot and completely selfish and hate everyone else, then the possibility is quite high that I don't like you. But it doesn't have to do anything with your culture or So why do I shy away from doing dolls with a darker complexion then? Easy. Anyone who watched more than one video knows that I have a problem with mental health. And as a German person who is white as white bread and has blue eyes and blonde hair, not so much anymore, but once I had blonde hair. Now I only have a blonde beard. Doesn't matter. I am used to be called a racist. I don't know exactly why, but there is a tendency that someone who looks like me is called a racist quite quick. And I can't deal with that so well. The reason behind it is that my whole life was dealing with loving a person, I think it's fine to say that I loved my grandfather, who is a racist by heart. And me, as a child, I didn't really understood why he didn't like me having friends that were from another culture. Later I understood it, and it was quite difficult for me. How can I like a person or love a person that believes something so different from what I think is okay? Every other person that would say something like my grandfather sometimes did, I wouldn't even stay close, but it was my grandfather, so... And for the most time of my life I was very conflicted about that, because most of you may know I am gay, and second, it was after my grandfather died, but one of my boyfriends was half Jewish, half Muslim, and if my grandfather would have still lived at that point, that would be unbelievable. And yeah, I always think about stuff like that because I still am so freaked out that my grandfather was like that. And when someone calls me a racist because of my skin color, what is so damn funny in the end, yeah, I always freak out and be mean to myself for the next few months. I had one point or one thing when I was still a hairdresser. I had a customer that came in, and she was with her son, and her son, obviously, the father was of a darker skin complexion, and his hair was curly as hell and yeah, dark black and thicker than any hair that I knew. So basically, rather typical African hair. And I was only trained to cut hair that was, yeah, basically German. So this thin spaghetti-like hair type. And because I had a lot of Asian customers, I learned more and more to cut Asian hair, but African hair is another thing, and I told her that, and she just looked at me, called me a racist, and went out of the store. That bugs me to this day. I wish I could talk with her and tell her, no, I'm not. That has nothing to do with that I don't want to cut your son's hair. It only has to do with me don't knowing how. Yeah. And because the kind of... Yeah, no, because of how the internet is today and how some the comment sections look, I shied away from doing something like a dark-skinned doll for ages because I thought, what is when someone thinks I did something inappropriate and calls me out in a way that I can't handle? You know what? Screw it. I love this doll. I do like the combination of her darker skin color and the dress. I wish I would have made her even darker to have the bigger contrast with the golden eyes. But anyway, this is why I shied away from making her, and this is why this is the 7th voiceover, because I didn't know how to explain why I shied away from it so long without feeling embarrassed or even saying something that I again thought was inappropriate. So I hope this version of the voiceover is fine for everyone and you do understand where the problem is. It's not that I'm a racist, it is that I fear the reaction of someone who could think I am a racist. And that... I'm quite impressed by the perversion of things. Because shouldn't it be okay to admire another culture, another skin color, another religion, and use parts of it as long as you use it in a way that is appropriate and not offensive at all? If I use a kimono and make it a little bit more wider at the neckline, I would never say that this is a traditional kimono. It is a style that I choose for the design, and I use something that is traditionally Japanese because I first admire the culture and second, I think it looks great. I don't really get why there is such a big problem with it, but yeah. Anyway, I talked enough. Let's talk for a moment about the doll that already is half finished. Yay. Though this is a Claudine, I had to remove her ears. What led to us having two quite big holes in her head. That was not the problem when I rerouted her, but when I put in the glue, I more or less forgot about it. So obviously the glue was seeping out of the holes and into the hair, and it was a mess. I fixed it with taking strands of hair and pushing them in, and then pushing some tissue paper on top of it. Was not the best idea, but in the end I was able to rescue most of the hair. After boil washing it, I had a lot of the glue out of it. It still was a bit difficult to comb it through, but yeah, it was possible. She has a little bit of a glue spot in the back of her head, but the other option would have been to cut away her hair, and then she would have a bald spot, and that was nothing I wanted for her. So we have to live with a little bit of glue in a very unfortunate position. I hope we can deal with that. Yeah, then I tried to decide for a hairstyle. And that was not the easiest thing, because first of all, obviously, Claudine doesn't have any ears at the position where normally you would find ears. So you need to do something that covers this area. When you were lazy as I am and didn't add ears. So that was one thing, and the second thing was I wanted to give her anything crown-like or something crown-like, and yeah, I went through my stuff and found these things and thought they looked quite nice. My original plan was to make her a crown out of golden wire, but I don't have any golden wire left, so I had to come up with something else, and I think this is quite a nice alternative. That was the word I was missing. Yeah, and then I just braided the hair a little bit by trying to have the top part loose so that everything fits together rather nicely, and yeah, the hairstyle looks a little bit more loose. First I thought about giving her flowy open hair, but I do like the idea of having at least a tiny bit of a hairstyle on her. Now it is time to talk about the dress for a moment, because I love this damn thing. I am still in a princess gown mood, and you could ask, when was I not in a princess gown mood? But I had this hoop skirt laying around that I made some time ago, and it was the perfect opportunity to use it. With this fabric, gosh, I thought it looked great. This blue with the golden pattern that looks a little bit like wood. I loved it. So, in the end, I was insanely happy with the doll, with the dress. I thought about giving her wings, and the video how I made the wings will come up next week, I think. But when she was done, I thought the wings would be too much. So I decided not to use them. But oh my gosh, I have a very white dress with a hoop skirt underneath. And it looks pretty. At least I think so. I know there is one friend in particular that doesn't like the dress that much, but I do love it, and I am not afraid to say it. Yeah. So, I hope you still enjoyed this video, and here are the pictures of her. I only took some outdoors because the weather was great for it and I do like the results. I hope you enjoy her as well, and we will see us in another video. Have a nice time, and until then, bye.